everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new, my name is Samantha. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. In this video, I decided to make a comparison between Longchamp. This will be between bags that are made in France and made in China. I wanted to make this video ultimately because I got my first bag made in France and I really loved it, and I knew I wanted to get another Longchamp bag. Now this was 6 years ago, keep in mind. So my new bag that I got was during my Asia trip, which was about 2 years ago. About 2013 I want to say, and 2018, somewhere along there. So I'll talk about the pros and cons as well for each bag after I talk about the general comparison. The main thing I want to talk about is the different texture, the quality, the craftsmanship behind it, because after getting this one, I was kind of disappointed. I knew that something about it felt different, and now I also don't know if it's because the years have passed and they've changed the way they've manufactured it, but for sure I can tell apart which one is made in France and made in China. So let's get started with a comparison. To start off with, the leather feels completely different. The one that is made in France is so soft, you can definitely tell when you're using the handles and when you're using the button flap. This is really soft and malleable. It's very easy to use, it's almost very floppy, and it's just really soft. Now with the made in China one, I've already worn this a couple of times, but you can tell it's very stiff, and the button area is also very stiff. I'll zoom in for you guys, but basically looking at this area, you can tell that the leather on the made in China one almost looks like a colored fabric that is dyed and then stamped over to get the leather texture. That is just the way I see it. It just looks almost so defined that it doesn't seem real. The handles and the leather on the made in France one almost reminds me of the Louis Vuitton Neverfull. How when you first get it, it literally looks like this. It's very stiff, and then when you get to use it, the handles finally fall down and it has that more worn look, but that doesn't happen with the one in made in China. The one in made in France is so soft, it's actually, you can actually feel a complete difference with this. Even when it's on your shoulder, the made in France, it's hanging off your shoulder, but the made in China one is stuck in its shape, and it kind of looks like it's floating on you. That's what I kind of feel like when I'm carrying the made in China bag. So my next point is the leather and the stitching. As mentioned, the one made in China, the leather is very stiff. This is found even on the edges of the leather. It is so soft here. You can actually see the texture and the leather on here. Versus the made in China, it's almost as if it's just sealed off completely. There's nothing soft about this, and feels like hard plastic. Versus the made in France one, you can see the little frill and detail. It's still brown, it has that leather texture, and it is so soft. Moreover, on the leather and incorporating the stitching, you can really see the difference on the cut quality and how it is stitched. On the made in France one, there seems to be more detail and care into how close they're stitching the leather, as close as possible to the bag, versus the made in China. There's lots of space between the edge of the leather and the stitching itself. There's also a difference between the thickness and the color of the stitching. The one that is made in China almost looks more yellowy, and then the made in France is more beige, and to me that seems more of a true tone. Now looking into the zippers, this part I'm not sure if it's because the design has changed over the years since I got my first bag, but based off of what I have, the one that is made in France and made in China, the zippers actually do look different. And when I talk about the zippers, I'm talking about these ones. The one made in China doesn't look as engraved into the zipper as much as the one made in France. Also, there's more spacing around the word Longchamp from the circle rather than it being tapered and closer to the edge as possible. Now I'm not going to compare the finish of the zipper because I know that I have worn the made in France one a lot more, so I don't know if it's tarnished over time, but in general of the design and the style, even the text on the zipper is quite different. So moving on to the interiors, the one that is made in France matches its exterior versus the made in China. It is fuchsia exterior and white interior. Like I said, I'm not sure if this is because of different styles that they have now or if they developed a different way to make it, but that is just something that I noticed. I would prefer the one that is made in France because I would prefer a colored lining inside so that if anything were to spill, even makeup or anything, it's not as obvious. Looking into my made in China bag already, I can tell that I have scratches from my portable charger, wires, and just about anything that I throw in there. A pro is that it seems more durable because the leather is so hard and stiff that I would recommend if you are very rough with your things and you kind of throw your bags around that this might be better for you. Another pro that you could consider is that it does have a two-tone for people who do like a different interior and exterior color. The handles and the leather in general just does not get softer. I've used this for 2 weeks straight in Asia with the heat and everything, and it does not get softer. The con to me is the different interior. To me, it just looks a little cheaper to be white on the inside and not the same color as the outside. I would just like the fluidity from opening my bag and not seeing a different color, or at least not a white interior, because it shows all the mess and scuffs and everything inside the bag. And the last con to me is that because it is made in China and Longchamp is a French luxury brand, I just find that it doesn't really represent anything special or interesting because it says Longchamp Paris on the zipper, and I just don't find that it represents the brand well, especially because of the quality of this. I'm quite shocked, and I felt it the moment that I got it. I bought this at the airport when I was leaving Hong Kong. So basically I was in Japan by the time I realized, hey, this bag feels so different. And then I realized that it was made in China, of course, because I was in Hong Kong. I don't think they would carry stuff made in France and ship it around for whatever reason. Pro of this is that it is made in France. It is a French luxury brand, and just having it made in France obviously is much more special. I find that it represents the brand really well, and it feels more luxurious. Another pro is that the leather feels more genuine. It's definitely soft to the touch. Another pro is that using this bag compared to the made in China actually feels easier because of how soft it is and everything. The way I put one strap down and unzip and grab something and put the strap on my shoulder, it's more fluid. When I use the made in China one, everything is so stiff that when I put the strap on my shoulder, it ends up falling off. It's not hanging off of me like the made in France bag would. It would almost look like this entirely. Another pro is that it looks better in my opinion. The leather and the stitching and the detail and all of that, it definitely makes a difference. It's not something you can see from far away, but if you are detail oriented and you like your bags to be a certain level of detail, I would definitely say that the made in France one is so much better and is definitely worth its price a lot more. I only have one con for this bag, and it's not about the wear and tear about the corners. It's more or less about how the logo is stamped. Because the leather is so soft here, it almost seems as if the logo is just getting softer and not as imprinted on the leather versus the made in China one. Of course, the made in China one is going to stand out a lot more because it seems like it pressed down really hard. So that's all I really have to say for the Longchamp bags. I definitely would not buy another made in China one because I can see the difference, feel the difference, and it even wears different. So that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This is my first comparison video, and like I said, I really just wanted to make this video because I felt such a big difference. If you haven't already, please subscribe and click the notification bell, and I'll see you guys in my next video.